Welcome back, everyone, to episode 38 of the Reading, Minnesota Mega Beef Farm. In today's episode, we'll be heading back into the fields to continue hauling hundreds of big Heston straw bales. We'll be diving into our second cut of alfalfa for year 2 and feeding our 3,000 beef cattle. Last episode was another busy one here on the farm as we continued wrapping up our year 3 small grain harvest. Our 2-case IH Axial Flow 9240 combines officially finished harvesting the final 100-acre oat field, bringing our mid-season harvest to a close. We then got all of our harvesting equipment washed up, serviced, and parked away until it's needed again later this fall. While the combines were hard at work, we also made some great progress building up our straw stockpile for our 3,000 beef cattle. Our John Deere 8410 and Massey Ferguson 2190 Heston baler spent the entire episode baling millions of liters of straw from both our 200-acre wheat field and our 100-acre oat field. By the end of the episode, we had already produced well over 300 Heston square bales, and we also began hauling those bales back to the farm using our Demco drop deck trailers. We even spent some time improving our automation by creating brand new auto drive routes around the farmyard, so our hired workers could automatically haul and unload straw bales into our storage sheds. We did run into a small issue with courseplay, recognizing when the trailer was full. But for now, we've found a temporary workaround that's still allowing us to automate most of the bale hauling process. Now, as we begin today's episode, we've still got hundreds of straw bales left scattered across our field waiting to be collected. And with 3,000 beef cattle depending on that straw for bedding, it's time to keep building up our stockpile before we shift our focus to the next major job here on the Mega Beef Farm. Let's fire up the engines and get to work. To kick things off today, we'll be hopping right back into our Kenworth T800, which has our brand new Demco drop deck trailer attached to it. From there, we'll head back out to our massive 200-plus acre wheat field, where we've still got dozens of huge Heston straw bales scattered across the field, waiting to be hauled back to the Mega Beef Farm. Over the past couple of episodes, we've been producing one of the biggest straw stockpiles we've ever had here in Reading, Minnesota, and today we're going to continue working towards getting every last bale hauled back to the farm. Our Freightliner FLD 120 is already out in the field and back to work with the help of courseplay and auto drive, loading up trailer after trailer of straw bales. Since the last episode, one spent quite a bit of time off camera trying to solve the automation issue we've been having with our bale collecting operation. Unfortunately, I still haven't been able to completely eliminate the problem. At this point, our hired worker has no trouble driving around the field, locating every straw bale and loading them onto the Demco drop deck trailer. The problem starts once the trailer reaches full capacity. For some reason, courseplay still doesn't recognize that the trailer is full and instead continues driving around the field to try to load more bales that simply won't fit onto the trailer. I've tried several different versions of both Universal Auto Load and courseplay, adjusted quite a few settings, and experimented with different combinations, but so far nothing has completely fixed the issue. For now, we found a pretty decent workaround though. Once I notice the trailer is completely loaded, I'll simply hop into the truck, disable courseplay, and switch it over to auto drive. From there, the truck will automatically leave the field, drive all the way back to the Mega Beef Farm, reverse itself into our bale storage shed, unload every bale, and then drive all the way back out to the field where it'll automatically re-engage courseplay and continue collecting bales exactly where it left off. So while the system still needs a little bit of manual supervision, it's automating probably 90% of the work, which is still saving us an incredible amount of time compared to hauling every bale ourselves. Meanwhile, just across the road, our John Deere 8410 is hard at work once again pulling the Massey Ferguson 2190 Heston baler. Last episode, after our 2-case IH Axial Flow 9240 combines officially wrapped up harvesting our 100-acre oat field, I sent the baler over there to begin collecting all of the straw they left behind. At this point, the hired worker has already finished baling all of the straw from the first combine's path and is now working its way through the final windrows left behind by combine number 2. It shouldn't be too much longer before every acre of that oat field is completely baled. And once that's finished, I'll move both of our semi-trucks over there so we can begin hauling those bales back to the farm as well. Our main objective today is to finish hauling every straw bale from both of these fields back to the Mega Beef farm. By the time we're done, we should have hundreds of massive Heston square bales safely stored away, giving us a huge reserve of bedding for our 3,000 beef cattle. Not only will that keep our cattle supplied with straw for a long time, but it'll also allow them to continue producing massive amounts of manure that we can spread back onto our fields as free fertilizer over the coming years. While the bale hauling continues in the background, we're also going to start preparing for our next major operation here in Reading, Minnesota. A few months ago, we completed our first cut of alfalfa for the year, harvesting around 150 acres and filling our first silage bunker to roughly 3/4 full. I purposely left that bunker uncovered because I'd really like to completely fill it before we compact it and begin the fermentation process. Now that we've reached August, both of our alfalfa fields have fully regrown and are ready for their second cut of the season. Once we made some good progress hauling straw bales, I'll fire up both of our Challenger SP 165 self-propelled swathers, haul them out to the first alfalfa field, and get each machine configured on courseplay. That'll allow both swathers to begin cutting alfalfa in the background while we continue focusing on our bale hauling operation. By the end of today's episode, I'd really like to have that entire first alfalfa field swathed and waiting for harvest, so that next episode we can dive straight into our second silage harvest of the year. And if we still have some time left after all of that, I'd also like to head back over to our massive feedlot and begin topping up all of our cattle pens with fresh silage. Keeping all 3,000 beef cattle well-fed is a top priority, especially with another major silage harvest and our year 2 fall harvest both right around the corner. We've got a busy day ahead of us as we haul hundreds of straw bales, prepare for another massive alfalfa harvest, and continue building one of the biggest beef operations we've ever created. Let's fire up the engines and get to work. If you're looking forward to this new mega farm series on Reading, Minnesota 4X map, please like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Well, we've now made our way out to the first 60-acre alfalfa field with one of our Challenger SP 165 self-propelled swathers, and it's time to start getting everything prepared for our second silage harvest of the year. First thing I'll do is generate a brand new courseplay course for this field, so our hired workers have a perfect path to follow. Once the course has been created, I'll get our first Challenger SP 165 fully configured and send it off to begin cutting alfalfa. This field is going to produce a massive amount of forage for our beef operation, and getting a head start on swathing today will save us a lot of time when we return with our forage harvesters in the next episode. With our first swather up and running, we'll jump back into the Chevy Silverado and head over to the farmyard so we can load our second Challenger SP 165 onto the transport trailer. Once it's secured, we'll haul it back out to the field, unload it, and configure it on the exact same courseplay course as the first machine. Having both swathers working together side by side should allow us to make quick work of this entire 60-acre field. And by the end of today's episode, I'd really like to have every acre completely swathed and ready for chopping. while the swathers continue working away in the background. Our hired worker over in the 100-acre oat field should be wrapping up the last few windrows of straw with the John Deere 8410 and our Massey Ferguson 2190 Heston baler. Once the baling is officially finished, we'll head back to the farmyard and jump into our 2 semi-trucks so we can shift our entire bale hauling operation over to the oat field. I'll send the Freightliner FLD 120 over to the field first, and once it arrives, I'll get it configured with the same combination of courseplay and auto drive that we've been using in the big 200-plus acre wheat field. That'll allow our hired worker to automatically search the field, load the trailer with straw bales, haul them back to the farm, unload them into our storage sheds, and then return to the field to repeat the entire process. Once the Freightliner is working away on its own, I'll get the John Deere 8410 folded up and sent back to the Mega Bee farm now that its job is finally complete. From there, I'll climb into the Kenworth T800 and begin collecting bales myself, so we can have both of our semi-trucks hauling straw at the same time. With 2 trucks running side by side, we should be able to clear this field out much quicker and continue building up a massive stockpile of straw for our 3,000 beef cattle before we shift our full attention over to the upcoming alfalfa silage harvest. Well, we've now made it back over to our 100-acre oat field with both of our semi-trucks. The Freightliner FLD 120 is once again fully configured with courseplay and auto drive, so our hired worker can begin automatically loading and hauling straw bales back to the Mega Beef farm. With that all taken care of, it's now time to get our John Deere 8410 folded up and sent back to the farmyard. After spending the past couple of episodes out here baling straw, this tractor has officially finished its job for the season. Before I send it on its way, though, I want to take a quick look at the bale counter on our Massey Ferguson 2190 Heston baler. And I'd say these numbers are pretty incredible. Between our 200-plus acre wheat field and this 100-acre oat field, we managed to produce a total of 495 massive Heston square bales. That's by far the biggest straw baling operation we've ever completed here on the Mega Beef farm. To put that into perspective, during year one, we only produced 144 straw bales, and now, just 1 year later, we've more than tripled that number. With each Heston bale holding 13,000 liters of straw, that means we've managed to bale an incredible 6,435,000 liters of straw. That's an absolutely massive stockpile, and it should keep all 3,000 of our beef cattle supplied with bedding for quite some time. Not only does that give us plenty of straw on hand, but it'll also allow our cattle to continue producing huge amounts of manure that we can recycle back onto our fields as free fertilizer. Now, the only thing left to do is get every one of those 495 bales hauled off these fields and safely stored away in our 3 bale storage sheds back at the farm. Once the bale hauling is completely wrapped up, we'll be ready to shift our attention to the next major operation here in Reading, Minnesota, our second alfalfa harvest of the year. After that harvest is finished, I'd really like to spend some time preparing our fields for next season. Over the past year, our 3,000 beef cattle have produced an absolutely massive stockpile of manure, and I'd like to begin spreading that manure across our crop ground to reduce how much commercial fertilizer we have to purchase going forward. Before we can do any of that, though, we need to make sure every last straw bale is cleared off these fields. So for the rest of today's episode, our main priority is going to be getting these bales loaded up and hauled back to the Mega Beef farm as quickly as possible. Then, if everything goes smoothly and we have a little extra time left in the day, I'd also like to head down to our feedlot and check in on our cattle. We've got several busy months of field work coming up, so I want to make sure all 3,000 head are fully stocked up on feed before we dive into our next harvest. Our second silage bunker is also getting close to empty, which works out perfectly because we're about to begin both our second and third cuts of alfalfa later this season. And before long, we'll also be kicking off our corn silage harvest. There's still plenty of work ahead of us. So let's keep these trucks moving and see how many more bales we can haul before the day is over. Well, I think that's officially going to wrap up our year 2 straw baling operation. These final 2 trailer loads are the last of the 495 Heston bales that we'll have to haul back to the Mega Beef farm. We actually ended up with 2 bales left sitting out in the field after filling both trailers. But rather than making an entire extra trip back for just 2 bales, I decided to manually stack them on top of the Freightliner's Demco drop deck trailer. It may not be the most conventional way of hauling bales, but it'll save us a lot of time and officially bring this entire straw operation to an end. Once we get these last 2 loads hauled back to the farm, we'll unload everything into our 3 bale storage sheds and take a quick look at just how much straw we've managed to stockpile. Judging by the amount of bales we've been hauling over the past couple of episodes, I have a feeling we're going to be very close to filling all 3 storage sheds to capacity. That's a huge accomplishment, and with over 6.4 million liters of straw now safely stored away, our 3,000 beef cattle should have more than enough bedding to keep them comfortable for a long time, while also producing massive amounts of manure that we'll be able to spread back onto our crop fields in the future. With the straw operation finally behind us, we'll get both of our Demco drop deck trailers unhooked, park our semi-trucks back inside the equipment sheds, and officially call it a successful harvest season for our baling equipment. Since we've still got a little bit of daylight left though, I'd like to switch gears and spend the rest of the day checking in on our 3,000 beef cattle. It's been a little while since we've looked at our feedlot, and with another busy stretch of field work right around the corner, I want to make sure every pen is fully stocked up on feed before we get tied up with our upcoming harvests. We'll fire up a couple of our tractors, hook them up to the Meyer Silage Boss trailers, and then head over to our second silage bunker. Using our John Deere 544K wheel loader, I'll begin loading each trailer with fresh silage before handing the tractors over to auto drive. From there, our hired workers will continuously haul trailer loads of silage over to each one of our active cattle pens, topping off every feed bunk and making sure all 3,000 head of cattle are well fed. By keeping ahead on feeding now, we'll be able to focus almost entirely on our upcoming second alfalfa harvest, our third alfalfa harvest later in the season, and eventually our corn silage harvest, without having to worry about stopping to feed cattle in the middle of those major field operations. Today was another very productive day as we officially wrapped up our Year 2 straw baling operation. Between our 200-plus acre wheat field and our 100-acre oat field, we managed to produce an incredible 495 Heston square bales, giving us over 6.4 million liters of straw. We also managed to get every single bale hauled back to the Mega Beef farm and safely stored away in our bale storage sheds. With that much straw stockpiled, our 3,000 beef cattle should have more than enough bedding to keep them comfortable for a long time, while also continuing to produce massive amounts of manure that we'll be able to spread back onto our fields as free fertilizer. To finish off today's episode, we shifted our focus back over to the feedlot. Right now, our John Deere 544K wheel loader is busy loading fresh silage out of our second silage bunker into our Meyer Silage Boss trailers. And our hired workers are continuously hauling trailer loads of silage out to each of our cattle pens to make sure all 3,000 head of cattle stay fully fed. I always like getting ahead on jobs like this because once harvest season starts, things get incredibly busy around here. And having the cattle taken care of now will let us focus entirely on the field work that's coming up. Next episode, we'll be kicking off another major harvest here on the Mega Beef farm as we begin our second alfalfa silage harvest of Year 2. We'll fire up both of our John Deere forage harvesters once again, get our entire silage fleet back out into the fields, and begin harvesting another massive crop of alfalfa as we continue working toward filling up our huge silage bunkers with enough feed to keep our beef operation running for another year. We've got another massive harvest just around the corner, but that's going to do it for today's episode. As always, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 39 of our Mega Beef Farm series here in the Reading, Minnesota for XMAP. In today's episode, we'll be purchasing some new equipment and kicking off our second cut of alfalfa silage for Year 2. Last episode, we officially wrapped up one of the biggest straw baling operations we've ever taken on here at the farm. Between our 200-plus acre wheat field and our 100-acre oat field, we managed to produce an incredible 495 massive Heston straw bales, giving us well over 6.4 million liters of straw to use as bedding for our growing beef operation. We spent the entire episode hauling those bales back to the farm. And by the time we were finished, we had nearly filled all 3 of our bale storage sheds with enough straw to keep our cattle supplied well into the future. Once all of the bales were safely stored away, we shifted our attention back to the feedlot, where we fired up our fleet of tractors and Meyer Silage Boss trailers to begin hauling fresh silage from our second bunker out to all 3 of our active cattle pens. With over 3,000 beef cattle now on the farm, keeping those feed troughs full has become a full-time job. And by the end of the episode, our hired workers were still busy delivering trailer after trailer of silage to make sure every pen stayed well supplied. Now that the straw operation is finally behind us and our cattle are stocked up on feed, it's time to shift our focus to the next major job here on the Mega Beef farm. Our second cut of alfalfa is ready to harvest, and today we'll begin gearing up for another massive silage harvest as we continue expanding our feed supply for our 3,000 beef cattle. To kick things off today, we're heading back over to our silage bunkers because before we dive into our second alfalfa silage harvest of Year 2, I'd really like to get our second silage bunker completely emptied out. After spending quite a bit of time at the end of the last episode hauling silage over to our feedlot, we've managed to work this bunker all the way down to just 192,000 liters of silage. It may not sound like much compared to the millions of liters we normally have stored away, but I'd really like to clear out every last bucket, so we have another bunker completely empty and ready for the massive amount of alfalfa silage we're about to harvest. To get started, I'll fire up our John Deere 544K wheel loader once again and begin scooping the remaining silage out of the bunker. We'll be loading it into our Meyer Silage Boss trailers, which are attached to our John Deere 6R and Case IH8940 tractors. Both tractors are already configured on auto drive, so once I fill each trailer, our hired workers will automatically make the trip over to the feedlot and unload fresh silage into our cattle pens before returning for another load. Last episode, we focused on filling the feed troughs for feedlot pens 1 and 3, which together house 2,000 of our 3,000 beef cattle. Thanks to that work, those 2 pens are now holding somewhere between 400,000 and 500,000 liters of silage each, giving those cattle more than enough feed to last for the next couple of months. Today, I've switched both auto drive routes over to feedlot pen 5, which is home to our remaining 1,000 beef cattle. By the time this bunker is completely emptied out, all 3,000 head of cattle should have their feed troughs topped off and be fully supplied while we wait for our first silage bunker to finish fermenting. That should take a lot of pressure off us over the next few months and allow us to focus almost entirely on field work instead of constantly worrying about keeping the cattle fed. Once this bunker is completely cleaned out, it'll officially be time to kick off our second alfalfa silage harvest. We'll be heading over to field 29, our first 60-plus acre alfalfa field, where both of our Challenger SP165 self-propelled swathers have already finished laying the crop into perfect windrows. That means the field is completely ready for our forage harvesters, and all that's left to do is get the harvest fleet assembled. I'll start by sending our John Deere 6 R and Case IH8940 tractors directly over to field 29 after they finish hauling silage. They'll be waiting there with empty trailers, so they're ready to start hauling alfalfa the moment our forage harvesters begin chopping. From there, we'll head over to the harvester shed, fire up both of our John Deere 9700 forage harvesters, refill them with silage additive, and get them out on the road toward the field. Once the harvesters are on their way, we'll make our way through the rest of the equipment sheds, getting the remainder of our silage fleet ready for another busy harvest. Every tractor will be fueled up, attached to one of our Meyer Silage Boss trailers, and sent out to field 29 so we can hit the ground running as soon as the first windrow is ready to be picked up. I've also decided it's finally time to make a couple of equipment upgrades before this harvest gets in a full swing. During our first alfalfa harvest, I noticed our New Holland 8970 struggled a little while running on auto drive. It got the job done, but it never seemed quite as reliable as the rest of the fleet. So today we'll be sending that tractor down to the dealership and trading it in for a brand new New Holland TG305. Besides giving us more horsepower for hauling silage, this tractor should become one of our most versatile machines on the farm. I plan to use it for hauling silage, spreading manure, spreading lime, baling, and a number of other field jobs throughout the year, so I think it'll be a great long-term upgrade for the Mega Beef farm. We're also making another upgrade that I'm really excited to test out. I'll be sending our New Holland 9884 down to the dealership as well, but instead of trading it in, we're going to equip it with a brand new K9 silage blade. I've heard a lot of great things about this blade, and many people consider it one of the best tools available for pushing, leveling, and compacting silage inside bunker silos. This will be the first time I've ever used one, so today's harvest will be the perfect opportunity to see if it really lives up to the hype. After all of our harvesting equipment is in place, we'll jump into the Chevy Silverado and head back over to the swathers. Rather than leaving them parked after finishing field 29, I'll load both Challenger SP165S onto the transport trailer and haul them over to field 17, our second 60-plus acre alfalfa field. Once they're unloaded, both swathers will immediately begin laying down another full field of alfalfa while our forage harvesters continue working on the first field. Hopefully by the time we finish harvesting field 29, field 17 will already be completely swathed and ready to go, allowing us to keep our entire silage operation moving without any downtime. Once everything is finally in position, we'll head back over to field 29, copy the same courseplay course our swathers used, assign it to both John Deere 9700 forage harvesters, and officially kick off the second alfalfa silage harvest of year 2. We got another massive silage operation ahead of us today, so let's fire up the engines and get to work. If you're looking forward to this new mega farm series on Reading, Minnesota 4X map, please like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. All right, our entire silage harvesting fleet is now fired up and making its way over to field 29. So while our hired workers get everything into position, I'm going to hop into the Chevy Silverado and head down to the local dealership to take care of a couple equipment upgrades before we officially kick off the harvest. Before we leave the farmyard, though, I'll make one quick stop at the harvester shed to load up the rest of our silage additive into the bed of the pickup truck. Both of our John Deere 700 forage harvesters have been refilled before leaving the farm. But with the amount of alfalfa we're planning on chopping over the next few days, I know they're going to burn through that additive pretty quickly. I'd rather have a couple pallets sitting out at the field ready to go than have one of our harvesters run empty and bring our entire operation to a stop while I make another trip back to the farm. Once that's taken care of, we'll make the drive down to the local dealership, where it's finally time to make a couple upgrades that I've been looking forward to for quite a while. The first one will be trading in our New Holland 8970. That tractor has served us well over the past couple of seasons, but it's really starting to show its age. During our first alfalfa harvest, I noticed it struggled a little when running on auto drive. And since this farm continues to get bigger every year, I think it's time to replace it with something that's better suited for the size of operation we're running now. In its place, we'll be bringing home a brand New Holland TG 305. This tractor gives us a healthy bump in horsepower, should handle our Meyer Silage Boss trailer much more comfortably, and hopefully proves to be a much more reliable machine when running under auto drive. Once I get it configured and assigned to its route, I'll send it straight out to field 29, where it'll join the rest of our silage hauling fleet and immediately get put to work. While we're at the dealership, we'll also pick up another upgrade that I'm really excited to try out, the K9 silage blade for our New Holland 9884. Rather than sending that tractor directly to the field, I'll have it head back to the Mega Bee farm after the blade is installed, so it'll be waiting beside the silage bunker. As soon as our forage harvesters begin filling trailers and the first loads of chopped alfalfa start arriving back at the farm, the 9884 will be ready to jump into action, pushing, leveling, and compacting the bunker. After we've finished at the dealership, I'll make my way over to field 29, where both of our Challenger SP165 swathers are still sitting after finishing the first field. I'll load each swather onto the transport trailer behind the Chevy Silverado and haul them over to field 17, where they'll immediately begin swathing our second 60-acre alfalfa field. Hopefully by the time we're finished harvesting the first field, the second one will already be completely swathed and waiting for us, allowing our forage harvesters to move straight into the next harvest without any downtime. Once the swathers are back to work, we'll return to field 29, get both John Deere 9700 forage harvesters configured on the same courseplay course our swathers used, and officially kick off our second alfalfa silage harvest of year 2. After that, I'll climb into our brand New Holland TG 305 for its very first job on the farm and start hauling fresh alfalfa silage alongside the rest of our harvesting fleet. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this new tractor performs, because I have a feeling it's going to become one of the hardest working machines on the Mega Bee farm. Well, our second alfalfa silage harvest of year 2 is officially underway. Our entire harvesting fleet is finally out in the field and working together once again. We've got 7 tractors spread throughout the field, each pulling one of our Meyer Silage Boss trailers, while both of our John Deere 9700 forage harvesters are hard at work picking up the windrows left behind by our Challenger SP 165 swathers. It's always satisfying seeing the entire operation finally come together after spending so much time getting all of the equipment fueled up, upgraded, and transported out to the field. Things are probably going to be just a little chaotic here during the first part of the harvest, though. As always, the headland passes tend to be the most difficult section for our hired workers to navigate. We've got several trees sitting very close to the edge of this field, and it seems like every time one of our hauling tractors tries to find its way over to the forage harvesters, it decides the shortest route is straight through the trees. More often than not, that ends with another tractor getting hung up on a branch somewhere and me having to rescue it. Thankfully, those problems usually disappear once we finish cleaning up the headlands. As soon as our forage harvesters begin working on the long, straight passes through the middle of the field, the traffic spreads out. Our hauling tractors have much more room to maneuver, and the entire operation usually settles into a really smooth rhythm. At that point, I can spend much less time babysitting hired workers and much more time focusing on keeping the harvest moving. Our biggest objective for this first field is to completely fill up our first silage bunker. We've already emptied that bunker out after feeding our 3,000 beef cattle, so now it's time to start rebuilding our silage stockpile from scratch. As soon as that bunker reaches capacity, I'd like to get our new Holland 9884 out there with its brand new K9 silage blade, finish leveling and compacting everything, and then get the bunker wrapped up so it can immediately begin fermenting into silage. That's actually a pretty important goal because, believe it or not, we're currently completely out of fermented silage here at the Mega Beef Farm. We spent the last couple of episodes hauling nearly every last liter we had over to our cattle pens. So while our feed troughs are now nicely stocked up, we don't have much of a backup supply anymore. The sooner we can get this bunker compacted and wrapped, the sooner we'll have another fresh supply of silage fermenting and ready before our cattle begin working through everything we just delivered. Once the first bunker is completely full and covered, we'll shift our entire harvesting operation over to our second bunker silo. That bunker will become our primary storage area for the remainder of this alfalfa harvest. And later in the season, it'll also be receiving millions of liters of corn silage once we kick off our fall harvest. If everything goes according to plan, and the weather cooperates with us, we may even have enough growing time left to squeeze in a third cut of alfalfa before winter arrives. If that happens, we could be looking at one of the biggest silage stockpiles we've ever built here on the Mega Beef Farm. But before we start thinking that far ahead, we've got over 60 acres of alfalfa still waiting to be chopped in this field. So let's keep these John Deere 9700 forage harvesters moving, get these trailers loaded, and start filling that first silage bunker with millions of liters of fresh alfalfa chaff. Well, for the most part, everything seems to be running really well today. Our second alfalfa silage harvest is off to a great start. Both of our John Deere 9700 forage harvesters have been chewing through this first 60-plus acre alfalfa field, and we've already managed to harvest a massive amount of chaff in a pretty short amount of time. Now that we're past those tricky headland passes, our hired workers seem to be handling the long, straight rows much better, which has really helped smooth out the entire harvesting operation. I have started to notice one small problem though. It seems like our fleet of hauling tractors hasn't been making it back out to the field as quickly as they should be. So I have a feeling we've got a bit of a traffic jam building up back at the Mega Beef farm. If I had to guess, I probably forgot to reactivate the bunker weight distance setting in auto drive after we finish feeding the cattle. Normally, that setting forces a tractor to stop and wait if another tractor is already unloading into the silage bunker. Without it enabled, the hired workers tend to crowd together at the bunker entrance. And before long, you've got several tractors all trying to unload at exactly the same time, which usually brings the entire hauling operation to a halt. Thankfully, that's a pretty quick fix. Once I get back to the farm, I'll sort out the traffic jam, turn that setting back on, and get our entire hauling fleet moving again. After that, we'll unload the alfalfa that's currently sitting in our trailer, and then it'll finally be time to test out one of the upgrades I've been looking forward to the most. We'll jump into our New Holland 9884, which is now equipped with its brand new K9 silage blade, and begin pushing, leveling, and compacting all of the fresh alfalfa we've harvested so far today. I've heard nothing but good things about this blade, and a lot of people consider it one of the best silage blades available, so I'm really interested to see how it performs. Compared to the smaller tractors we've used in the past, mounting it to one of our biggest four-wheel drive tractors should make a huge difference. Between the extra horsepower, the weight of the tractor, and the much wider blade, I'm hoping we'll be able to spread and compact the bunker much faster, while also keeping a much cleaner, more even pile as the harvest continues. Getting ahead on the bunker work is going to be really important because I'd like to have this first silage bunker completely filled, compacted, and wrapped as soon as we finish this field. The sooner we can get it sealed up, the sooner it'll begin fermenting into silage. And with 3,000 beef cattle, depending on it for feed, we definitely don't want to fall behind on building up our silage stockpile. Once everything is running smoothly again, and we've had a chance to put the K9 silage blade through its paces, we'll climb back into one of our hauling tractors and get right back out into the field. We've still got plenty of alfalfa left standing, and I'd like to make another big dent in this 60-plus acre field before the end of today's episode, as we continue working toward filling our first silage bunker with millions of liters of fresh alfalfa chaff. Today, we officially kicked off our second alfalfa silage harvest of year 2, and I'd have to say things are off to a fantastic start. We got our entire harvesting fleet back out into the field, introduced a couple of brand new equipment upgrades, and after working through a few small auto drive issues, everything has really settled into a smooth and efficient operation. To finish off today's episode, we've been continuing to harvest this first 60-plus acre alfalfa field, and at this point we're already well over halfway finished. Our 2 John Deere 9700 forage harvesters have been doing an incredible job keeping up with the crop, while our fleet of 7 silage hauling tractors has been working non-stop hauling trailer after trailer of fresh alfalfa back to the Mega Beef farm. It's been great to see the entire operation finally running the way we planned. And with all 7 hauling tractors working together, we're bringing in a tremendous amount of material in a very short amount of time. Back at the farm, our first silage bunker is filling up quickly. It's not completely full just yet, but we're getting very close. And I have a feeling that by the time we finish harvesting this first field, we'll either have the bunker completely filled or close enough that it'll make sense to stop there. At that point, we'll bring out our new Holland 9884 once again, finish pushing and compacting the bunker, and then get everything covered so it can immediately begin fermenting into silage. With 3,000 beef cattle depending on this feed supply, getting that bunker sealed up as soon as possible is going to be a huge priority. Next episode, we'll officially wrap up harvesting this first alfalfa field before moving everything over to field 17 to begin our second 60-plus acre alfalfa harvest. Once we make that move, we'll switch our entire hauling fleet over to our second silage bunker, giving all 7 tractors a fresh place to unload while our first bunker begins fermenting. That second bunker should also leave us with more than enough capacity for the corn silage harvest later this year. So by the end of the season, we should have an enormous silage stockpile built up to keep our 3,000 beef cattle well supplied for a long time to come. We've got another big episode coming up, and we're getting one step closer to wrapping up another successful harvest season here on the Mega Beef Farm. As always, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and let me know down in the comments. What do you think of the new Holland TG305 and the K9 silage blade? I'd love to hear whether you think they'll become permanent additions to our silage operation. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 40 of our Mega Beef Farm here on the Reading, Minnesota 4X map. In today's episode, we're back out in the fields as we work on our second cut of alfalfa for year 2. If you missed the last episode, we continued making some great progress on our second alfalfa silage harvest of year 2 as we put our entire harvesting fleet back to work. We had 2 John Deere 9900 forage harvesters chopping alfalfa, while 7 tractors and silage trailers hauled millions of liters of chaff back to our silage bunkers. We also added a brand new Holland TG305 tractor to the fleet, along with a K9 silage blade, which helped us keep our bunkers pushed back and packed much more efficiently throughout the harvest. By the end of the episode, we had made excellent progress through our alfalfa fields and continued building up a massive stockpile of silage that we'll eventually use to feed our growing herd of beef cattle. Our entire harvesting operation was running incredibly smoothly, with all of our courseplay and auto drive routes working together to keep the forage harvesters running almost nonstop. Today we'll be picking up right where we left off as we continue working toward finishing our second alfalfa silage harvest. Once we've got that wrapped up, we'll be one step closer to building enough feed to support our long-term goal of growing this operation into a 5,000 head Mega Beef farm. We've still got a busy day ahead of us, so let's jump back into the equipment and get to work. To kick things off today, we're hopping right back into our brand new Holland TG305 as we continue hauling alfalfa from this first field back to our Mega Beef farm. Every trailer load we haul back today is another step toward building up the massive stockpile of silage we'll need to keep our herd of 3,000 beef cattle well fed throughout the year. We've still got a lot of harvesting ahead of us, but with how smoothly our operation is running right now, I'm hoping we'll be able to make some huge progress before the end of today's episode. our entire silage harvesting operation is already fired back up and running. Both of our John Deere 9900 forage harvesters are back in the field once again, running completely autonomously on courseplay. They're following the exact same guidance lines that our two Challenger SP165 swathers used when they cut this field. So they should be able to drive straight down every windrow and pick up every bit of alfalfa without leaving anything behind. It's really satisfying seeing all of the planning and setup we put into these courseplay routes paying off, because everything is working together almost perfectly. Supporting our two forage harvesters is our fleet of 7 silage hauling tractors, each pulling one of our Meyer Silage Boss trailers. All 7 tractors are currently running on auto drive, allowing our hired workers to automatically enter the field, locate whichever forage harvester is waiting for a trailer, and match its speed while it's harvesting. Once a trailer is completely full, that tractor will automatically leave the field, make the trip all the way back to our farmyard, reverse into one of our massive silage bunkers, unload its entire load of alfalfa, and then immediately head back out to the field to repeat the whole process. Watching 7 tractors constantly cycling between the field and the farm really makes this operation feel like a true commercial-scale silage harvest. Back at the farm, we're still working on filling the first of our 3 massive silage bunkers. At the moment, we're sitting right around 3 million liters of chopped alfalfa, and we're getting very close to having this bunker completely filled. My plan is to keep all 7 hauling tractors unloading into this first bunker while we finish harvesting the remainder of this 60-acre alfalfa field. Once every last windrow has been collected, I'll make sure every tractor unloads the alfalfa it's carrying into the first bunker before we move on. After that, it'll finally be time to compact and wrap the bunker so it can begin fermenting into silage. At the moment, we've completely run out of fermented silage, which means the only feed available for our 3,000 beef cattle is the TMR we loaded into the feed bunks during the previous episode. Because of that, I don't want to wait until we've finished harvesting every field before wrapping this bunker. I'd much rather get it sealed up as soon as possible so fermentation can begin immediately and we can start producing another huge supply of silage for the herd. Meanwhile, work is continuing on the other side of the map as well. Our 2 Challenger SP165 swathers are already back up and running in Field 17, which is our second alfalfa field. This field is actually a little larger than the one we're harvesting right now, and I sent both swathers over there near the end of the last episode so they could get a head start while we focused on finishing this first field. By the time we arrive, I'm hoping they'll either be completely finished or very close to it, allowing us to transition straight into harvesting without any downtime. Once this first 60-acre alfalfa field is finally wrapped up, it'll be time to relocate our entire harvesting fleet. I'll get both John Deere 9900 forage harvesters out onto the road and send them over to Field 17 using auto drive. Then I'll work my way through all 7 of our hauling tractors, updating their auto drive destinations so they begin servicing the new field instead. Any tractors that still have alfalfa left in their trailers from this first field will make one final trip back to the farm to unload before heading straight over to Field 17 to join the rest of the operation. From there, I'll jump into our Chevy Silverado, which still has several pallets of silage additive loaded in the bed, and make my way down to Field 17 as well. Once I arrive, I'll refill both forage harvesters with additive so they're ready for another long day of chopping alfalfa. I'll also check in on our 2 swathers to see how much progress they've made before copying their completed courseplay routes over to both forage harvesters. That'll ensure they're following the exact same paths through the field and picking up every single windrow. Once everything has been refilled, reconfigured, and ready to go, it'll be time to fire up both John Deere 9900 forage harvesters along with all 7 of our silage hauling tractors and officially begin harvesting our second alfalfa field. If everything goes according to plan today, we should make a huge dent in this second harvest, continue building up our silage stockpile, and move one step closer to producing enough feed to eventually grow this operation into our goal of 5,000 head of beef cattle. We've got another massive day of silage harvesting ahead of us here in Reading, Minnesota. So let's climb into the New Holland and get to work. If you're looking forward to this new mega farm series on Reading, Minnesota 4X map, please like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Well, we've now got this first 60-acre alfalfa field completely harvested. The final corner of this field is always a little tight to work around. So our hired workers usually struggle a bit trying to maneuver the forage harvesters through that last section. Despite that, everything came together really well, and we managed to pick up every last windrow of alfalfa. With this first field now officially finished, both of our John Deere 9900 forage harvesters are out on the road and making their way over to Field 17, where the next stage of our silage harvest is about to begin. Now it's my turn to get the rest of our operation moved over as well. I'll start working my way through all 7 of our silage hauling tractors, updating their auto drive destinations so they're ready to begin servicing Field 17. Any tractors that are still carrying a large load of alfalfa from this first field will head back to the farm one final time to unload before joining the rest of the fleet. Once everything has been reconfigured, our entire harvesting operation should be ready to get straight back to work with very little downtime. After that's taken care of, we'll jump into our Chevy Silverado, which still has several pallets of silage additive loaded in the bed, and make the drive down to Field 17. Once we arrive, I'll refill both forage harvesters so they're ready for another long day of chopping alfalfa. By this point, our 2 Challenger SP165 swathers should either be completely finished or just wrapping up the last few passes on the field, giving us a perfect opportunity to transition directly into harvesting. From there, I'll simply copy the completed courseplay routes from the swathers over to both forage harvesters. Since I'll be following the exact same paths, they should have no problem picking up every single windrow that was laid down. Once that's done, it'll be time to fire up both harvesters, get all 7 hauling tractors back out into the field, and watch this entire operation come back to life once again. By the time everything is running, our new Holland TG305 should have made its way over to the field as well. I'll hop back into it, find whichever forage harvester is waiting for a trailer, and begin hauling even more alfalfa back across the map to our farmyard. Before we fully commit to filling our second silage bunker, I'd like to get one final trailer load unloaded into our first bunker to top it off. Once that final load has been dumped, it'll finally be time to wrap up one of the biggest milestones of this harvest. We'll jump into our new Hala 9884, which now has our brand new K9 silage blade mounted on the front, and spend some time pushing and leveling the alfalfa throughout the bunker. After everything has been spread out evenly, we'll hook up our compactor, make several passes to get the bunker packed as tightly as possible, and then finally seal it up so fermentation can begin. With millions of liters of fresh alfalfa now stored away, we'll officially have another massive supply of silage on the way, bringing us one step closer to producing enough feed to support our long-term goal of growing this operation into a 5,000 head mega beef farm. We've now made it back to the farmyard and unloaded another trailer load of alfalfa into our first silage bunker. I've also got a couple more tractors lined up behind me waiting to unload, so we'll let them empty their trailers as well before we officially call this first bunker full. Every load they're bringing in is helping us maximize the amount of feed we can store before it's time to move everything over to the second bunker. While those final loads are being dumped, I'm going to take the opportunity to get our second silage bunker ready for the rest of this harvest. Before we can start filling it, I want to spend a few minutes updating all of our auto drive routes. The routes we used back in year one worked well enough, but since then we've started using the new placeable auto drive reversing courses, and they've proven to be much cleaner, more accurate, and a lot more reliable than the reversing routes I created by hand. So the first thing I'll do is delete the old reversing route inside the second bunker and replace it with 2 of these new placeable reversing courses. Once those are in place, I'll connect them into our existing entrance and exit routes, so everything flows together seamlessly. That way, our 7 hauling tractors will be able to drive into the farmyard, reverse perfectly into the bunker, unload their trailers, pull back out, and head straight back to the field without me having to intervene. Hopefully that'll keep our entire silage operation running as efficiently as possible for the rest of this harvest. Once I'm happy with all of those auto drive adjustments, it'll finally be time to finish off our first silage bunker. We'll jump into our new Holland 9884 fitted with a new Cane 9 silage blade and spend some time pushing all of this alfalfa back, leveling it out, and making sure we've made the most of every bit of space inside the bunker. After everything has been spread out evenly, I'll hop into our John Deere 6, our 145, hook up the silage roller, and begin compacting the entire bunker. I'd like to get the compaction as close to 100% as possible before we wrap it, because the better we compact it now, the more efficiently it'll ferment over the coming months. Once we've reached full compaction, we'll finally get the bunker sealed up and begin producing another massive supply of silage for our 3,000 beef cattle. With our first bunker wrapped and fermentation underway, we'll head right back out to Field 17, where the rest of our harvesting fleet is already hard at work. From there, we'll continue chopping alfalfa and start filling up our second silage bunker, keeping the harvest moving as we work toward building one of the largest feed stockpiles we've ever had here on our mega beef farm. Well, I'd say today was another huge success here on our Mega Beef farm in Reading, Minnesota. We managed to wrap up our first 60-acre alfalfa field, relocate our entire harvesting operation over to Field 17, and get everything back up and running with very little downtime. One of the biggest accomplishments from today's episode was finally finishing our first silage bunker. We got everything pushed back, fully compacted, and wrapped up, meaning it's now officially fermenting into over 3.5 million liters of silage that will soon be able to feed to our growing herd of 3,000 beef cattle. It's always satisfying reaching this stage of the harvest because now all of the hard work we've put into cutting, hauling, and compacting this alfalfa will soon start paying off. We've also made some great progress over here in Field 17. At this point, we're now well over halfway finished harvesting our second alfalfa field, and our entire harvesting operation continues to run incredibly smoothly. Both of our John Deere 9900 forage harvesters, along with all 7 of our silage hauling tractors, have been working almost non-stop, and hopefully it won't be long before we've got this second field completely wrapped up as well. In the next episode, our main goal will be to finish harvesting the remainder of this second cut of alfalfa and continue filling up our second silage bunker. Once that's done, we'll finally be able to put this entire alfalfa harvest behind us and start shifting our attention toward the next stage of work here on the farm. We've got our corn silage harvest coming up before too long, but we've still got a little bit of time before the corn reaches the right growth stage. Rather than sitting around waiting, I'd like to take advantage of that time and start preparing our fields for year 3. Over the last several months, our herd of beef cattle has built up some massive manure stockpiles, and I'd really like to start putting all of that manure to good use. We'll likely head out into the 200-acre wheat field beside our farmyard and begin spreading manure to boost the nitrogen levels before next year's crops are planted. Not only will that improve the fertility of the field, but it'll also free up a lot of valuable storage space around our cattle operation before we head into another busy growing season. We've still got plenty of exciting work ahead of us here in Reading, Minnesota, but we're getting one step closer to our goal of building a 5,000 head mega beef farm. As always, if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks so much for watching, and take care everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 41 of our Mega Beef Farm series here on the Reading, Minnesota 4X map. In today's episode, we'll be wrapping up our second cut alfalfa silage harvest, and then we'll be diving into a massive manure spreading operation as we spread all of the manure for our 3,000 cattle. We'll also be purchasing some brand new equipment to help us with this operation. If you missed the last episode, we continued our second cut alfalfa silage harvest and had another huge day out in the fields. With our 2 John Deere 9900 forage harvesters, 7 silage hauling tractors, and our entire harvesting fleet running on courseplay and auto drive, we kept the operation running at full speed as we hauled millions of liters of fresh alfalfa back to the farm. One of the biggest milestones from the last episode was finally filling, compacting, and wrapping our first massive silage bunker. After weeks of harvesting and hauling, we've now got over 3.5 million liters of alfalfa safely sealed up and fermenting into silage, giving us another huge feed stockpile that will soon help feed our growing herd of 3,000 beef cattle. Once that bunker was completely wrapped up, we packed up our entire harvesting fleet and relocated over to Field 17, where we began harvesting another massive alfalfa field while filling up our second silage bunker. We made some great progress before the end of the day, but we've still got quite a bit of harvesting left before the second cut harvest is finally complete. Today, we're going to finish harvesting the rest of our second cut alfalfa, and once the last loads are safely packed away into our second bunker, it'll be time to switch gears and begin spreading over 1.6 million liters of manure across our fields. Our cattle have produced an incredible amount of manure over the past year, and now it's finally time to put those nutrients back into the soil as we continue preparing the farm for another successful growing season. So, with that said, let's fire up the equipment and get to work. To kick things off today, we're going to be picking things right up where we left off in the last episode by hopping back into our brand new Holland TG TG305 tractor as we continue hauling alfalfa off this final 60-plus acre field. After several long days of harvesting, we're finally entering the closing stages of our second cut alfalfa harvest. And our goal today is to get every last windrow picked up and hauled back to the Mega Beef farm, so we can continue building one of the largest feed stockpiles we've ever had for our growing herd of 3,000 beef cattle. The entire harvesting operation is already in full swing this morning. We've got 6 tractors running completely autonomously on auto drive, while I'll be hauling alongside them in the New Holland TG305, giving us a total of 7 tractors hauling alfalfa at the same time. Every tractor is pulling one of our Meyer Silage Boss forage wagons, continuously transporting fresh alfalfa back to the farm as our 2 John Deere 9900 forage harvesters work their way through the last remaining rows of this field. They've already harvested the majority of this 60-plus acre field, so we're getting very close to officially wrapping up our second cut alfalfa harvest. Last episode was a huge milestone for the farm. We completely finished harvesting our first alfalfa field before relocating the entire operation over here to Field 17. Along the way, we also managed to completely fill, compact, and wrap our first silage bunker of the year. That bunker is now holding well over 2.5 million liters of alfalfa from both our first and second cuts of year 2, giving us another massive supply of feed that's currently fermenting into silage for our cattle. Once that bunker was finished, we shifted our attention over to our second bunker and started filling it up. Before doing that, I spent some time completely redesigning all of our auto drive routes around the bunker. I removed the custom reversing courses I'd originally made and replaced them with the new placeable reversing courses, giving every tractor a much straighter and cleaner approach into the bunker. The difference has been huge. The tractors are reversing much more consistently, unloading much more efficiently, and getting back out to the field much quicker, allowing the entire harvesting operation to keep moving with very little downtime. We've already managed to build up a great start in our second bunker, and by the time we finish harvesting today, we should have well over 1 million liters of fresh alfalfa stored inside. We're not planning to compact and wrap this bunker just yet, though. There's still plenty of room left, and with corn silage harvest coming up very soon, and hopefully even a third cut of alfalfa later this year if the weather cooperates, we'll be able to continue filling this bunker before sealing it up. Once the final wagon has been unloaded and the last row of alfalfa has been harvested, we'll finally be able to start packing everything up. All 7 tractors, both John Deere forage harvesters, and the rest of our harvesting equipment will be heading back to the farm, where we'll give everything a thorough wash before parking it away until the next harvest. We also still have both of our Challenger SP 165 swathers sitting on the edge of this field, so we'll need to load each one onto the transport trailer behind our Chevy Silverado 3500 and haul them back to the farmyard as well. It'll be nice to finally get the entire harvesting fleet cleaned up and put away after another successful alfalfa harvest. But the work doesn't stop there. As soon as the silage operation is wrapped up, it'll be time to transition into one of the biggest manure spreading jobs we've ever tackled here on the farm. Over the past year, our herd of 3,000 beef cattle has produced an unbelievable amount of manure, and we now have more than 1.6 million liters stockpiled at the feedlot. Our manure storage is getting close to capacity, so it's the perfect time to start putting those nutrients back into the fields. Our first target will be the 200-acre wheat field surrounding the farmyard that we harvested just a few episodes ago. To speed things up, I want to have 3 tractors spreading manure at the same time. Right now, we only own 2 JBS manure spreaders, but today we're going to be upgrading the entire operation. We'll be selling both of our current spreaders and replacing them with 3 brand new, higher capacity models that can carry significantly more manure. Not only will that make this job much more efficient today, but it'll also be a big investment that'll save us time for years to come as our cattle operation continues growing toward our goal of 5,000 head. We've got another action-packed day ahead of us as we finish harvesting over 120 acres of second cut alfalfa. continue building our massive feed reserves, and then kick off a huge manure spreading operation with over 1.6 million liters waiting to be hauled out into the fields. So let's fire up the engines and get to work. If you're looking forward to this new mega farm series on Reading, Minnesota 4X map, please like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Well, we're already hauling back our second trailer load of alfalfa today, and I have a feeling this may actually be the last load that either of us has to haul ourselves. The two John Deere 9900 forage harvesters have been making great progress while we've been running loads back to the farm. And by the time we get back out to the field, there's a good chance our hired workers will have the remaining rows completely finished. If that's the case, we'll officially have our second cut alfalfa harvest wrapped up for another year. Before we head back out there, though, I want to spend a little bit of time here at the farm getting our second silage bunker cleaned up. By now, we've hauled quite a bit of fresh alfalfa back from the field, so there should be a nice pile building up inside the bunker. I'll be jumping into our New Holland 9884 tractor with the K9 silage blade, so we can begin pushing everything back, leveling it out, and making the best use of the space we've got available. The more evenly we can spread and pack the material as it comes in, the more silage will ultimately be able to fit into this bunker before it's time to compact and wrap it. Even though we're finishing up this harvest today, this bunker is far from finished. We've still got plenty of room left, and that's exactly what we want because our corn silage harvest is coming up before long. If the weather continues cooperating with us here in Reading, there's also a good chance we'll squeeze in a third cut of alfalfa before the end of the year. So this bunker is going to keep filling up over the next several weeks. By the time we're ready to seal it up, we'll have another massive feed reserve built for our cattle. Once we got everything pushed back, we'll hop right back in the TG305 and make one final trip out to the field to see how the harvesting operation is coming along. Hopefully, by the time we get there, the forage harvesters will be cutting the last few rows and all 7 of our hauling tractors will be making their final trips back to the farm. It's always satisfying reaching this point in a harvest because after days of non-stop chopping and hauling, you can finally start seeing all of the hard work come together. As soon as the last load leaves the field, we'll begin shutting the entire operation down. All 7 tractors, both John Deere 9900 forage harvesters, and the rest of our harvesting equipment will head back to the farmyard, where we'll start washing everything down and parking it away in the equipment sheds until the next harvest. We've also still got both of our Challenger SP165 swathers waiting on the edge of the field, so I'll fire one of them up, drive it over to where our Chevy Silverado 3500 transport trailer are parked, and get it loaded up for the trip back to the farm. After that first swather is unloaded, cleaned up, and parked away, I'll have a hired worker take the truck and trailer back out to the field while I continue cleaning the rest of the harvesting fleet. Once they arrive, we'll load up the second swather and bring it home as well, officially bringing another successful alfalfa harvest to an end. It's been another huge harvest for the farm, And once everything is cleaned up and parked away, we'll be ready to move on to the next big job waiting for us, spreading more than 1.6 million liters of manure across our fields. So let's get this last bit of alfalfa put away and finish wrapping up one of the busiest weeks we've had here on the Mega Beef farm. Well, all of our equipment are now making their way back to the farm. And our second cut alfalfa silage harvest is now officially complete. Once again, we managed to bring in another massive amount of feed for our growing herd of 3,000 beef cattle. And it's always satisfying seeing another successful harvest come to an end after several busy days out in the field. Between our 2 John Deere 9900 forage harvesters, 7 hauling tractors, and the entire operation running on courseplay and auto drive, everything came together really well, and we've continued building one of the biggest feed stockpiles we've ever had here on the farm. Right now, we're in the process of getting the entire harvesting fleet cleaned up, serviced, and parked away until the next time we need it. The forage harvesters, forage wagons, swathers, and the rest of our harvesting equipment will all be heading back into the equipment sheds, but I'll actually be leaving 3 tractors out. Our John Deere 8400R, John Deere 8345R, and the brand new Holland TG305 are going to be getting straight back to work because they're about to become the backbone of our next major operation. Once everything else has been washed up and put away, we'll spend a little time getting those 3 tractors serviced and refueled before hooking them up to our manure spreaders. After that, we'll make a trip down to the local dealership where we're going to make another big investment into the farm. Our 2 current JBS manure spreaders have served us well over the past couple of years. But with the amount of manure our 3,000 beef cattle are producing now, we've simply outgrown them. So today we're going to be selling both of those spreaders and replacing them with 3 brand new, higher capacity manure spreaders that can carry significantly more manure. That extra capacity should make a noticeable difference in the amount of time it takes us to fertilize our fields and will leave us in a much better position as we continue working toward our long-term goal of expanding to 5,000 head of cattle. Once we get the new spreaders back to the farm, we'll begin preparing everything for our first manure spreading operation of year 2. I'll get all of our auto drive and courseplay routes set up, make sure each tractor is ready to go, and then it'll finally be time to start putting some of the 1.6 million liters of manure we've built up over the past year back into our fields. Our manure storage is getting close to capacity, so this couldn't come at a better time. Not only will we be freeing up a tremendous amount of storage space around the feedlot, but we'll also be returning all of those valuable nutrients back into the soil to help support another successful crop season here on the Mega Beef Farm. The alfalfa harvest may be behind us, but we've got another huge job waiting for us. So let's keep things moving and get these new spreaders ready for work. All right, I think we finally got everything cleaned up and parked away after another successful alfalfa harvest. The last thing I need to do is unload the remaining silage additive out of the back of the pickup truck, and then it'll officially be time to move on to the next major job here on the farm. Our focus is now going to shift from harvesting feed to putting nutrients back into the soil. Before we can do that, though, we've got a little bit of preparation ahead of us. I'll be heading over to the 3 tractors we purposely left out of the equipment sheds. Both of our John Deere tractors could definitely use a little servicing after all the work they've been doing lately. And while we're at it, we'll top off the diesel tanks on all 3 tractors, so they're ready for what should be one of the biggest manure spreading operations we've ever tackled. Once they're serviced and fueled up, we'll hook our 2 John Deeres onto the JBS manure spreaders and head down to the local dealership. I'll follow behind in the New Holland TG 305, and that's where we'll be making another big investment into the future of our mega beef farm. Our current JBS spreaders have served us extremely well over the past couple of years, but the reality is we've simply outgrown them. With 3,000 beef cattle now on the farm, and a long-term goal of reaching 5,000 head, we're producing far more manure than we were when we originally bought those spreaders. They've started becoming the bottleneck in our operation, so today it's finally time for an upgrade. We'll be selling both of our JBS spreaders and replacing them with 3 brand new Meyer Crop Pro 9630 dry manure spreaders. Each one costs about $92,000, so we'll be investing roughly $276,000 into this upgrade before trade-ins. It's certainly not a small purchase, but I think it's one that's going to pay for itself over the next several years. Our old spreaders could only carry around 21,000 liters of manure each, while these new Meyer spreaders can hold more than 33,000 liters. That's over a 50% increase in capacity per load. And since we'll now be running 3 spreaders instead of 2, we'll be able to spread almost 100,000 liters of manure every time the fleet heads out into the field. That should make a huge difference in both efficiency and the amount of time it takes us to get through these massive fertilizing jobs. Once we get the new spreaders back to the farm, the next step will be getting everything automated. I'll spend some time updating our auto drive network around the feedlot so each tractor can pull right up beside the manure piles, where I'll be loading them with our John Deere 544K wool loader. Once they're full, auto drive will send the tractors out to our harvested 200-acre wheat field surrounding the farmyard, where coarse blade will automatically take over and begin spreading manure across the field. With all 3 tractors working together, we should have a constant cycle of loading, hauling, spreading, and returning for another load with very little downtime in between. We've currently got well over 1.6 million liters of manure stockpiled around the feedlot, so this is going to be a huge job. Not only will we finally start freeing up some much-needed storage space around the cattle pens, but we'll also be putting all of those valuable nutrients back into the soil to improve our nitrogen levels before the next crop goes into the ground. It's another important step toward making this farm more efficient and more self-sufficient as we continue working toward our goal of building a true 5,000 head mega beef farm. Well, our 3 brand new Meyer Crop Pro manure spreaders have officially made it back to the Mega Beef farm. And after spending some time getting everything configured, we're finally ready to put them to work. All of our auto drive routes have been created, our course play course has been generated for the field, and right now, we're loading each spreader with its very first load of manure. Once all 3 tractors are full, we'll hop in a New Holland TG 305 and head out into the field alongside them to kick off our first manure spreading operation of year 2. This is actually a pretty exciting upgrade because we're finally going to see if these new spreaders were worth the investment. With all 3 tractors working together, we'll have nearly 100,000 liters of manure heading out into the field every single trip. That's a huge improvement over our old setup and should allow us to cover this massive 200-acre field much faster while making far fewer trips back to the feedlot for refills. Now, these spreaders aren't going to fully fertilize the field on their own. Each application will add around 60 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare, or roughly 24 kilograms per acre. So we'll still have some work to do before this field is ready for next year's corn crop. Even so, getting all of this manure spread now is going to give us a huge head start. Every bit of nitrogen we can put into the soil today is that much less liquid fertilizer we'll have to buy and apply after the corn is planted next season. Over hundreds of acres, that can save us a tremendous amount of money while also cutting down on the amount of time we'll spend fertilizing later in the year. Just as importantly, this is going to free up a huge amount of storage space back at the feedlot. Our herd of 3,000 beef cattle has been producing manure faster than we've been able to use it, and we've now built up well over 1.6 million liters sitting in our stockpiles. Getting all of those nutrients back into the fields not only improves our soil, but also keeps our manure storage from reaching capacity before the next season rolls around. It's a win-win for the entire operation. Everything is finally in place, the tractors are loaded, and it's time to see what these new spreaders can really do. So, let's head out into the field and put our newest investment to the test as we spread thousands of liters of manure across this massive 200-acre field. Today was another huge step forward for our mega beef farm. We officially wrapped up our second cut alfalfa silage harvest, got the entire harvesting fleet cleaned up and parked away, invested in 3 brand new Meyer Crop Pro manure spreaders, and kicked off our first manure spreading operation of year 2. So far, I'm really happy with how everything has been working. The new auto drive routes have been running flawlessly, Courseplay has been doing an excellent job covering the field, and these new spreaders have already proven to be a massive upgrade over our old setup. With all 3 tractors working together, we're able to haul and spread thousands of liters of manure every single trip, making this operation much more efficient while also helping us free up some much-needed space back at the feedlot. At the same time, we're putting all of those valuable nutrients back into the soil, giving ourselves a great head start before next year's corn crop goes into the ground. We've still got plenty of manure left to spread, though, so in the next episode, we'll finish fertilizing this massive 200-acre field and continue working through the more than 1.6 million liters of manure our 3,000 beef cattle have produced. Once that's finished, it'll be time to shift our focus once again as we begin preparing for one of the biggest harvests of the year, our upcoming corn silage harvest. We'll start getting all of our silage harvesting equipment back out of the sheds, serviced, and ready to go before another busy harvest season begins here on the farm. If you enjoyed today's episode and you're excited to see the corn silage harvest coming up, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and let me know down in the comments what you've been thinking of the series so far. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you all in the next one. Welcome back to episode 42 of the Mega Beef Farm on the Reading, Minnesota 4X map. In today's episode, we'll be heading back out into the fields to continue spreading thousands of liters of manure, and we'll also be kicking off our very first corn silage harvest of year 2. Last episode, we wrapped up our second cut alfalfa silage harvest after harvesting well over 120 acres of alfalfa and hauling every load back to our bunker silo to continue building up our feed stockpiles for our growing beef operation. Once the silage harvest was complete, we shifted our focus over to manure management as we invested in 3 brand new Meyer Crop Pro manure spreaders to help us handle the massive amounts of manure being produced by our herd of over 3,000 beef cattle. After getting all 3 spreaders configured and our Courseplay and auto drive routes set up, we officially began spreading manure across one of our 200-acre wheat fields. Our cattle have now produced well over 1.6 million liters of manure. So getting those nutrients back onto our fields is not only going to help boost our future crop yields, but it's also going to free up valuable storage space around the feedlot as we continue working toward our long-term goal of building one of the biggest beef farms in Farming Simulator 25. To kick things off today, we'll be jumping right back into our massive manure spreading operation here on the Reading, Minnesota Mega Beef Farm. We made some fantastic progress in the last episode, but we've still got a tremendous amount of manure left to deal with before we're finally ready to kick off our first corn silage harvest of year 2. Our main manure pile has now been reduced to around 558,000 liters after we spent hours spreading manure across this 200-plus acre field. That's a huge improvement considering this pile originally held well over 1,200,000 liters of manure when we first started this project. On top of that, we've also got another manure pile sitting over in our second feedlot that currently holds around 400,000 liters. So even after all of the work we've already put in, we've still got nearly 1 million liters of manure sitting around the farm waiting to be put back onto our fields. All 3 of our tractors are fired up and ready to get back to work this morning. We've got our New Holland TG305, John Deere 8345R, and John Deere 8400 are each pulling one of our brand new Meyer Crop Pro 9630 manure spreaders. These spreaders have been an incredible upgrade for the farm, with each one carrying over 30,000 liters of manure. That means when all 3 spreaders are fully loaded and heading out into the field, we've got nearly 100,000 liters of manure being applied every single trip. It's amazing just how much more productive this setup has become compared to the older spreaders we were using. Instead of constantly running back and forth to refill, we're able to stay out in the field much longer, which means we're covering acres at a much faster pace and making much better use of our tractors throughout the day. One of my favorite parts about this setup is watching Courseplay and Auto Drive work together. Courseplay takes care of all the field work, keeping each tractor running efficiently across the field while spreading manure. Once a spreader runs empty, Courseplay automatically hands control over to Auto Drive, which brings the tractor back to the feedlot using the haul routes we created. I'll then jump into our John Deere 544K wheel loader, refill the spreader with another full load of manure, and send it right back out into the field. As soon as it arrives, Auto Drive hands control back to Courseplay, and the tractor picks up exactly where it left off. It's been really satisfying to watch this entire system run almost completely on its own while we keep all three spreaders moving nearly non-stop. Having these automation systems working together has made managing three manure spreaders at once so much easier and has turned what would have been a very time-consuming job into one of the smoothest operations we've run on the farm so far. Our main objective for today is to relieve as much space as possible from this manure pile while continuing to build up the nitrogen levels across this field. We're not trying to fully fertilize the field just yet because the plan is to plant corn here next season. Instead, we're applying roughly half of the nitrogen the crop will eventually need. Even though we won't reach the full nitrogen requirement with manure alone, this is still going to save us a tremendous amount of money when it comes time to apply commercial fertilizer next year. At the same time, we're freeing up valuable storage space, so our herd of more than 3,000 beef cattle can continue producing manure throughout the rest of the year without us running into storage issues. It's a win-win situation. We improve the fertility of our fields, reduce our fertilizer bill for next season, and make sure we always have enough room to keep up with the incredible amount of manure our cattle are producing every single month. At this point, we're right around halfway through all of the up and down passes in this field. And that's going to remain my priority today. My goal is to get every one of those long passes covered with manure before we worry about the headlands. If we happen to run out of manure before everything is finished, I'm perfectly happy leaving the headlands for later because getting the main body of this 200-acre field fertilized is where we'll see the biggest benefit. If everything goes according to plan, by the time we finish today, we'll have relieved nearly this entire manure pile, giving us plenty of room for the months ahead, while also setting this field up to produce another outstanding corn crop next year. Once we finally wrap up this massive manure spreading operation, we'll have spread nearly 1.2 million liters of manure using our new Meyer Crop Pro 9630 spreaders. After that, I'll send all three tractors back to the farmyard, give the tractors and spreaders a much-needed wash with our pressure washer, and get everything cleaned up and parked away in the equipment shed. They definitely deserve a good cleaning after spending the last couple of episodes out in the field, and it'll be nice to have everything washed up and ready for the next time we need to bring the spreaders back out. Then it'll finally be time to shift our focus toward one of the biggest jobs of the year. We're currently sitting right at the end of August in year 2, and once we advance into September, our corn should be getting very close to harvest. Before the rest of our grain crops are ready, I want to kick off our very first corn silage harvest of the season. We'll fire up both of our John Deere forage harvesters along with our fleet of tractors pulling Meyer Silage Boss trailers and head over to our smaller cornfield. Our goal will be to chop thousands upon thousands of liters of corn silage and haul every load back to the Mega Beef farm so we can continue filling our second silage bunker. Last year, we built up a great supply of silage, but with over 3,000 beef cattle now on the farm, our feed demand is higher than ever before. Every trailer load we bring back over the next few episodes is going to play a huge role in keeping this operation running efficiently. Hopefully, by the time this harvest is complete, we'll have another massive bunker packed, covered, and fermenting, giving our herd an enormous stockpile of high-quality feed for the future. We've got a busy day ahead of us, so let's fire up the equipment and get to work. If you're looking forward to this new mega farm series on Reading, Minnesota 4X map, please like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Well, everything seems to be running great out in the field once again today. These brand new Meyer Crop Pro 9630 manure spreaders have proven to be an incredible upgrade for our mega beef farm. And after watching them work over the past couple of episodes, I'm already convinced they were well worth the investment. With over 3,000 beef cattle producing massive amounts of manure every single month, we really needed a bigger and more efficient spreading fleet if we want to keep up with everything our cattle are producing. Last year, we relied on our two JBS 2248 manure spreaders, and while they did a fantastic job, they simply couldn't keep up with the size of our operation anymore. Each of those spreaders only held around 21,000 liters of manure, whereas these new Meyer Crop Pro 9630 spreaders hold an incredible 33,413 liters each. That's more than a 50% increase in capacity per spreader. And by adding a third spreader to the fleet, we've increased the amount of manure we're able to apply on every trip out into the field by a huge margin. Altogether, we're now carrying right around 100,000 liters of manure every time all three spreaders are fully loaded. And that's made a noticeable difference in how quickly we're covering this 200-acre field. Just like I mentioned earlier, my main priority is still getting all of the up and down passes completed before we worry about the headlands. I have a feeling that by the time we finish those long passes, we'll have almost completely emptied our first manure pile back at the feedlot. That'll free up a tremendous amount of storage space, which is exactly what we need because our herd of over 3,000 beef cattle aren't slowing down anytime soon. The more room we have available in those manure piles, the longer we can let our cattle continue producing manure without having to stop and deal with overflowing storage. Even after this field is finished, we'll still have around 400,000 liters of manure sitting in our second stockpile, along with whatever little bit remains in the first pile. Rather than letting all of that manure sit around, my plan is to move straight over to the 300-acre cornfield that we're currently leasing. That field sits just south of the farm, making it one of the closest fields we own or lease, so it'll be the perfect place to spread the rest of our manure. Since we're also planning to harvest that corn very soon, it makes a lot of sense to get as much manure applied there as possible while everything is still close to home and before our harvest equipment starts rolling into the field. The fall harvest season is getting closer with every passing day, and after we finally wrap up this manure spreading operation, our attention is going to shift almost entirely toward harvesting. Before long, we'll be firing up both of our John Deere forage harvesters and beginning our first corn silage harvest of year 2 as we work toward filling our second massive silage bunker. We've still got a little bit of work left ahead of us here, though. So let's keep these 3 Meyer Crop Pro spreaders loaded up, finish relieving as much manure as we can from the feedlot, and get this field one step closer to being ready for next year's corn crop. Well, I think this is going to be the final time we need to refill all 3 of our manure spreaders today. It looks like we got a little more manure left in this pile than I originally expected, but that's actually not a bad thing. Whatever is left over after today won't go to waste, because we'll be bringing these spreaders back out later this fall to apply the rest of our manure onto the 300-acre cornfield just south of the farm. That field is only a short drive from our feedlot, so it'll be the perfect place to use up the rest of our manure once we're finished with harvest. By the time these final loads are spread, we should be leaving this manure pile with well under 100,000 liters remaining. Considering we started this project with well over 1.2 million liters of manure, that's a huge accomplishment. We've managed to spread well over 1 million liters of manure across this harvested 200-acre wheat field, relieving a tremendous amount of storage space back at the feedlot, while also putting a huge amount of nutrients back into the soil. That should give us a great head start when it comes time to plant corn in this field next year, and should also save us a considerable amount of money on commercial fertilizer. This field will still need one more important job before it's completely ready for next season, and that's applying lime to bring the soil pH back up. For now, though, I'm going to let this manure sit on the field over the next month or 2 while we focus all of our attention on the busy fall harvest season. Once harvest is wrapped up, we'll come back out here with our lime spreaders, get the entire field treated, and then work everything into the soil with our tillage equipment. So this field is in excellent condition for next year's corn crop. Once these last few loads of manure are spread, we'll send all 3 tractors and our new Meyer Crop Pro 9630 spreaders back to the farmyard. After the amount of work they've done over the past couple of episodes, they definitely deserve a good wash. We'll get everything cleaned up with the pressure washer, fueled up, and backed into the equipment shed, where it'll stay until it's time to spread the rest of our manure later this fall. It's always satisfying getting a big operation like this wrapped up and seeing all of the equipment cleaned and parked away before moving on to the next major job around the farm. From there, we'll hop into our Chevy Silverado and make our way back over to the farmhouse to call it a day. We'll advance time into the beginning of September, and that means our corn should be getting very close to reaching full maturity. With harvest season right around the corner, it'll finally be time to fire up both of our John Deere forage harvesters and begin chopping our first corn silage of year 2. We've got another massive bunker to fill before winter arrives. So let's finish spreading these last few loads of manure and get ourselves ready for one of the biggest harvests of the year. Well, after advancing time, we've officially made it into the beginning of September here in year 2. And that means harvest season is finally right around the corner. Our grain corn is getting very close to reaching full maturity. But before we fire up our combines and begin harvesting that crop, we're first going to tackle our very first corn silage harvest of the year. Today we'll be heading over to Field 25, a 70-acre cornfield that will provide us with another massive supply of feed for our growing herd of more than 3,000 beef cattle. To kick this harvest off, I'll start by getting both of our John Deere 700 forage harvesters fired up. First, we'll refill each harvester with fresh silage additive. Then we'll remove the pickup headers we used during our alfalfa harvests and swap them over to our Kemper 475 corn headers. Once the headers are attached, I'll top both harvesters off with diesel and then send them out on auto drive as they begin making the trip over to Field 25. While the forage harvesters are making their way across the map, I'll begin getting the rest of our harvesting fleet up and running. Today we'll have a total of 7 tractors hauling silage, ranging from our smaller 145 horsepower tractors all the way up to our largest 400 horsepower machines. Every one of those tractors will be pulling one of our Meyer Silage Boss trailers as they shuttle nonstop between the field and the Mega Bee farm, hauling thousands upon thousands of liters of chopped corn back to our second silage bunker. Earlier this year, we completed 2 massive cuts of alfalfa silage across nearly 240 acres, and that harvest gave us an incredible start to building up our feed reserves. We completely filled our first silage bunker with nearly 4 million liters of chaff that's now wrapped up and fermenting into silage. Our second bunker currently holds right around 1 million liters from those alfalfa harvests, leaving it only about 25% full. That's exactly why this corn silage harvest is so important. Over the next few episodes, our goal is to keep hauling trailer after trailer of chopped corn back to the farm and continue building that second bunker into another massive stockpile of feed that'll help keep our cattle well supplied throughout the coming years. Once all of our equipment arrives at the field, I'll generate a course-play course for both of our John Deere 700 forage harvesters and get them started on the headlands. While they're opening up the field, I'll begin creating a brand new set of auto drive routes, so our hauling tractors know exactly where to enter the field, where to wait for a forage harvester to call them over, and how to safely make their way back to the farm once their trailers are full. 6 of our tractors will be running completely autonomously on auto drive, while I'll be driving the 7th tractor myself, so I can stay right alongside the harvesters and make sure they never have to stop chopping. If everything goes according to plan, we should have both John Deere 700 forage harvesters harvesting continuously on courseplay, while all 7 of our Meyer Silage Boss trailers keep the choppers unloaded and moving without interruption. We've got another massive silage bunker waiting to be filled, thousands of liters of corn to chop, and one of the biggest harvests of the year officially getting underway. Let's fire up the equipment and get to work. We managed to accomplish everything I was hoping to get done today as we officially wrapped up our massive manure spreading operation. After spreading well over 1 million liters of manure across our 200-acre wheat field, we relieved a tremendous amount of space in our manure storage while also putting a huge amount of valuable nutrients back into the soil to help prepare this field for next year's corn crop. Once the spreading was finished, we got all 3 of our brand new Meyer Crop Pro 9630 manure spreaders washed up, cleaned, and parked away until we need them again later this fall. After advancing time into September, it was finally time to kick off one of the biggest jobs of the year as we officially began our first corn silage harvest of year 2. We got both of our John Deere 9700 forage harvesters converted over to their Kemper 475 corn headers, fired up our entire hauling fleet, and successfully got everything set up on both Courseplay and Auto Drive. It's always satisfying seeing an operation of this size come together, and thankfully everything seemed to run smoothly right from the start. By the end of today's episode, we'd already made some great progress on the headlands of this 70-acre cornfield and hauled quite a few trailer loads of fresh corn silage back to the Mega Beef farm. Our second silage bunker is already starting to grow, and this is just the beginning. We've still got a lot of corn left to chop, and with over 3,000 beef cattle depending on us to keep building up our feed reserves, every single trailer load we bring back is going to make a big difference. When we come back in the next episode, our main goal will be to get this entire 70-acre field completely harvested and hauled back to the farm. Once that's finished, we'll start turning our attention toward one of the busiest times of the year as we begin preparing for our year 2 fall grain harvest. Before long, our combines will be rolling into the fields to start harvesting corn, soybeans, and the rest of our crops. So we got an exciting few episodes ahead of us. But that's going to do it for today's episode. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let me know down in the comments how much corn silage you think we'll end up packing into our second bunker before this harvest is over. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate every single one of you. And I'll see you all in the next episode.